Good morning, all of you. And this also the continuation of what we have seen in the last class. And we have started looking into sedimentation tanks. So the objective is to remove the flocks which is already being formed in flocculation chamber. Depending upon the the particle size and shape, and you have a different type of settlings. That's what we have discussed in the last class. That is number one, discrete particle settling. Number two is flocculent settling. Number three is zone settling. And number four is compression settling. That's what we have discussed. So discrete particles also we have designed or defined. Any particle does not change or alter its size, shape during the process of sedimentation. You can call it as discrete particle. And the types of settling, and what we have discussed, four types of settling. Number one, discrete where the settling may happen with the low solids concentration and particles settle down without any interaction with the neighboring particle. So this is type 1 settling. And type 2 is it also happens in a dilute suspension of particle which flocculate during the sedimentation process. And the flocculation causes the particle to increase in mass and settle at a faster rate. So this also we have discussed in flocculation as well, orthokinetic and perikinetic, or macroflocculation and microflocculation. Okay. And type 3 and type 4 may not happen in water treatment plants because where the solids concentration is very, very low in, say example, sedimentation, or in the water from a source. So this is type 3. It is about zone settling. This may happen in an intermediate concentration of solids, and the interparticle forces hinder the particle of neighboring particles, and the mass of the particles become higher. Thereby, it will settle down as zone by zone or layer by layer. Okay, that you can call it as hindered or zone settling. And fourth one is about compression settling. The particles concentration is very high, and even individual particle doesn't want to settle because of upper layer compaction. That particle tend to go for some sort of sedimentation. Okay? That is because of the pressure, or you can say weight of the particle, which is continuously increased because of sedimentation from the overlying liquids. Okay? That's what zone compression settling or type 4 settling. This is what we discussed. And the definition of discrete particle: any particle does not change size, shape during the process of sedimentation. That you can call it as discrete particle settling. And being familiar with discrete particle, now we are too familiar, or this also we discussed, how to calculate the settling velocity of discrete particles. Okay? So this is the concept. When any discrete particle, that's something is important. Any discrete particle is falling through a liquid, it will accelerate until the frictional resistance is equal to gravitational force acting on the particle. Okay, if the frictional resistance is equal to the gravitational force, obviously in that particular situation, that particle gains a particular velocity. That velocity is known as settling velocity. Okay, so this two forces you have to equate. Okay, assume that particles are spherical in nature, and the impelling force is this one. That is the density difference or specific gravity difference in between that particle and also water. And assume that this is spherical particle. So you can have this equation. This is equation number one. And from the Newton's law of resistance, frictional resistance, this also we have discussed. Drag force is equal to CdA rho dA square by 2. If we equate these two and slightly rearrange that equation, and you may get VS square is equal to 4dG by 3 into CD into SS minus 1. So this is something is important. Okay. So this Vs again related to CD value, and the CD is again related to Reynolds number, that is Vd by nu, where nu is equal to kinematic viscosity. Okay. So please make a note on. And this CD is equal to CD also again 24 by Re. Okay. You just calculate what is CD in terms of Vd by nu, substitute Re here, and substitute again in this equation, and you may get a simplified equation like this. Vs is equal, this is very famous equation, Vs is equal to G by 18 into Ss minus 1 into d square. This equation is called as a Stokes equation. This equation is valid only for laminar flow condition. Laminar flow condition, or Reynolds number is less than 2. Okay, less than 2. If it is in between 2 to 500, then you have to do a CD corrections like this: 24 by RE plus 3 by root of RE plus 0.34. Okay, so this is what we have discussed in the last class. Is it fine?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now we'll move on to a sedimentation tank. That this also something is important. Sedimentation tank. You can divide the sedimentation tank into 4 zones. Number 1, inlet zone, settling zone, outlet zone, and zone for sludge storage. And each and every zones may have a specific role to play. Okay, so this now you could understand better with the settling zone. Okay, and each and everything is being marked in a different color. Okay, in inlet zone, number 1, number 2 is outlet zone, number 3 is settling zone, and number 4 is sludge zone or sludge storage zone. Is it okay? So in the inlet zone, you could notice like a lot of inlet baffle. Okay, the inlet baffle that you just recall now, and we'll discuss in the like subsequent slides. Okay, yeah. So the main objective in the sedimentation process is you have to bring down all the solids to a sludge zone. Otherwise, what will happen? Your efficiency, whatever you climb, may not be. Sometimes it's with a better way, or the solids will come out as it is without any treatment. Okay, so the primary objective is to bring down all the particles to a sludge zone in such a way that you have to design these fractions like inlet zone and outlet zone and also settling zone. You have to design very nicely. Okay, imagine now a situation. The main factor here it is this particle, if it is coming in, okay, flock, it is coming in, it may be acted upon 2 different forces. That's what I have discussed. Okay, one is about horizontal velocity of the water, another one is about self weight of the particle. The weight will drag down at towards the bottom, and horizontal velocity will drag the particles towards the in a forward direction. Okay, what will happen now? You should draw a resultant force. Probably would have come across. So it may fall a trajectory like parabolic trajectory. Okay. So imagine our situation. I may require a length of something like this. Okay, I may require a length of L like this. And if I design a tank with a lesser distance instead of L, okay, L, which is less than capital what is required, or I may design a plant which is bigger in length, which is L is greater than L. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all of them has a difficulty. Imagine now if I shut down or if I cut down my treatment design like this, what will happen? Particles may not come into a sludge zone. It may sometimes suspend here, and if the flow velocity is bigger or higher, it will also take away the flocks again to a filtration unit, which may create a lot of causes on or load on filtration operation. Is it okay? So now you just recall inlet zone, outlet zone, and sludge zone. Sorry, sludge zone and settling zone. These are the 4. Okay, you'll see one by one. The purpose of inlet zone is to distribute the water. Okay, please make a note on number 1, to distribute the flow and the suspended solids. Not only flow and the suspended solids evenly across the cross section of the settling zone. Now you could understand better what is the role of. So because the incoming water which a higher velocity, and if I allow the water with a higher velocity, the particles will be like taken away along with the direction of the water, which may not have a sufficient time to settle or settle or to have it off in a storage or sludge zone. Okay, so now the primary objective is to reduce the velocity, and at the same time we have to also distribute whatever the coming in the solids, spread across throughout the entire segment of your settling zone. Okay, so for that you have to plan for inlet zones. That's what is being mentioned, to distribute the flow and suspended solids. And normally consists of a series of pipes. Okay, so this may be a series of pipes and baffles through which the water is distributed into a settling zone. Okay, please remember. So here maybe these are something like pipes. Okay, something like a pipe, or maybe individual slots. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
And the primary objective is to reduce, because of this arrangement, the velocity is completely being reduced as it enters into a settling zone. And proper inlet zone design is very important to prevent deterioration in flock structure. That is something is important. Please make a note on. If Imagine now your distribution is also, or even your inlet slots also is not properly designed, and there could be a disintegration of flocks may happen. And if it is disintegration, whatever it is coming in, which may have a lot of weight, as an example, bigger in size. Imagine our situation, the particle is coming in and it is being segmented into 2-3 pieces like this. What will happen? It may not have a possibility to settle. It will come out as it is with the treated effluent or treated water. So please make a note on this is something is important. And the second important portion is settling zone, where the settling of particles may take place. It is the largest part of sedimentation tank, and settling takes place as the water flows at a very low or reduced velocity through a larger flow area. Please make a note of this. Something is important. Okay. This is the second one, the yellow portion what we are discussing now. Okay. Yes. And because of the lower velocity allows the flock particles to settle into a sludge zone and be removed from the water, leaving the tank. Okay, so once the solids is come into a settling zone, automatically because of the gravity, it will obviously it has to come down to a sludge zone. Okay, and water it is moving away from a sludge zone is free from flock particles or solids. Okay. So that's what is being explained in the second slide. Second point, low velocity allows the particle to settle into a sludge zone and be removed from the water, leaving the tank. Okay. Here, two important factors are important. Number one, settling velocity. Number two is your overflow rate. Please make a note of. Settling velocity, if it is higher or lower, it will also affect your plant settling performance. And overflow rate also we have discussed in so many cases. Overflow rate. Okay, and imagine our situation, plant is being designed for a particular capacity. If the flow is either increased or decreased, Q is either increased or decreased. If it is flow is decreased and you are giving sufficient time, so Q it is increase or decrease, it obviously reflects your detention time. Imagine now the water flow it is very high, so we are giving very less time. You are not allowing the particle to settle and particle will come out as it is. Imagine our situation. That you have a low inflow. Flow condition is very low. So you are giving more than that of your desired detention time. So that also it creates problem. Okay. So please make a note on settling velocity and overflow rate are two important factors or parameters that determine the solid removal efficiency. Okay. Yes. And the rate at which the particle settles is the particle settling velocity that we have discussed in the previous or Stokes equation. That's a basic definition. While the velocity of water rising in the settling zone is called as overflow rate. Please make a note on these two definitions. Rate at which the particle settle is settling velocity. The velocity of water rising in the settling zone is called as overflow rate. Okay. Yes. And by considering these two velocities, one is settling velocity, another is about their overflow rate. Overflow rate also is again Q by A, formula is Q by A only. So this also again in terms of velocity, Q by A is equal to velocity. Okay. So now obviously if a particle is to be removed in the settling zone, okay, so please make a note on the settling velocity must be greater than that of rise velocity. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this condition you have to maintain all the time. Otherwise, your sedimentation tank may not be very efficient, okay, or effective. Please make a note on settling velocity must be higher than that of water rise velocity or overflow rate. Okay, and overflow rate, or otherwise we will call it as surface loading rate, is an important feature, and that as a unit that we have already discussed, meter cube per meter square day. So the unit of this also again, if you convert, it will come down to meter per day. That is also a velocity. So please make a note on either surface loading rate or overflow rate, surface loading rate or overflow rate, or you can simply call it as upflow rate. That's what we have discussed. Okay, and that's very simple. That definition is meter cube of water being applied per meter cube of meter square of surface area. Okay, please make a note of. Okay, this is in terms of meter cube per meter square hour if the flow in meter cube per hour. Okay, so please make a note on this. How much cubic meter of water is being applied per meter square of surface area of the tank in a day, so that you can call it as surface loading rate or overflow rate or upflow rate. Okay. So in the case of horizontal flow tanks, normally you can maintain 1 to 2. And in the case of vertical tanks, you can go up to a maximum of 3 to 5 meter cube per meter square hour. Okay, so please remember these values. Okay, yeah. Third compartment is outlet zone. So outlet zone provides a larger area for water to leave the sedimentation tank before flowing into a pipe or a canal to transport the water to a sand filter. Okay, so now you could recall the third zone is outlet zone. Okay, so now we could be able to see the color is this blue color because these are treated water. Blue color, this is treated water. Whatever here it is coming in with lighter brown tint because these are flock particles. And here the settling may happen. Here are dark brown color because of the sludge. Here this water is free from solids. Okay, yes. This is your outlet zone. And outlet zone is designed so that settled water can be removed from the tank without entering any flock particles that are settled. Please make a note on this. Something is important. Okay, you should not allow any of the flock material to get out of the system. Okay, yes. And the objectives of the larger area is to minimize the flow velocity and thereby prevent scouring. Please make a note on another word here, scouring or lifting due to lifting of settled flock. Okay, so scouring is resuspension. It's very simple. Okay, if imagine now, and if your outlet tank or outlet weir is not being designed in an effective way, so what will happen? There could be a possibilities of scouring or resuspension of this settled flocks also may happen, or micro flocks also come into a effluent weir, which may further increase your filter load. Okay, so please make a note on this. Is something that's important. The last point. Okay, so larger area is to minimize the flow velocity and thereby it will prevent the scouring or lifting. Okay, so if you see here, this is your outlet zone. Now this is your effluent weir. Okay, effluent weir. So this is the section I'm drawing. But imagine now in a rectangular tank. So in the widthwise you have a. In the widthwise, have you got my point? In the widthwise you have effluent weir. Have you got my point? This is the section. This is your plan. Is it okay? Is it fine?
Yes, sir.
Influent, and this is your influent and effluent. This is your tank. Then you have this is your effluent weir. Have you got my point? That's what it is been mentioned. Larger area to minimize the. I can also have a smaller opening with a pipe or what to collect the wastewater. Okay? That's what. Please make a note on. Larger area is provided to minimize the flow velocity and thereby preventing the scouring and lifting of settled flocks. Okay, so here also again the larger outlet area can be by means of a series of VS. Okay, VS I told you, series of VS or trough. Okay, so in the case of circular sedimentation tank, and this is the outer, say example circular tank. This is maybe so in the section you may feel like this. Is it okay? Is it fine?
Yes, sir.
This is are you able to follow? This is your sedimentation tank. This is your effluent weir. So water will be collected in the weir and that will be taken to a filtration operation. Okay, yeah. So our larger surface area or larger outlet area is obtained by means of a series of weir or trough. Okay, this is trough. Weir in the sense is you should have weir all along like this. Is it fine? So all along in the outer periphery, you could also feel like these are the V notches. Is it fine? Okay. So if you want to measure how much is the treated water coming out of a treatment plant or coming out of the sedimentation tank is very easy. What I do in the outlet weir, I may measure what is the height of the water above the height of the water in the V notch. Say example, this is the height. V notch calculation you would have already familiar. How to calculate the quantity in the V notch. So the plant operator, what he'll do, he'll measure the height of the water in one of the notch. And he may know in the entire circular sedimentation tank how many V notches are there. Find out Q in per notch, multiplied by the number of notch, he may say in terms of meter cube per day or milliliters per day. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Last one is sludge storage zone. Bottommost is sludge storage zone, and this depends on the quantity of sludge to removed from water and the method and frequency. Please make a note on number one. So you have to be familiar with number one, quantity of sludge to be removed, in what method you are going to remove, and how frequency you are going to remove the sludge. Based on that, you can provide the depth. Okay, so depth of the sludge zone depends on the quantity of sludge. That means you should be familiar with what is the like your incoming solids concentration, and what could be the generation of sludge, what could be the generation of sludge, and based on that you can design the bottommost depth for sludge storage. Okay, so now how do you estimate the approximate quantity of sludge? How do you estimate the approximate? Because now we are in the middle. Okay, so quantity of sludge or the sedimentation tank, and we also discussed in the flocculation, right? Flocculation jar test apparatus, purge chemical allow the solids to destabilize, and third step is rapid mixing, slow mixing, and also for sedimentation or settling at the later portion in the jar test apparatus. If you remember or recall, jar test apparatus also there is a provisions to calculate how much amount of this sludge production during settling process, and you should have a rough estimation of that, and you can add it into a sedimentation tank. That's what if I remember, or if you remember, I told 2-3 times rapid mixing in the flocculate, rapid mixing in the jar test apparatus. You are imitate the same situation as rapid mixing tank in the treatment plant. And slow mixing in the jar test apparatus imitates the actual situation what is happening in the flocculation chamber. And third stage is settling in the jar test apparatus, is imitates or resembles sedimentation activity in the actual treatment plant. Okay, so I have mentioned 2-3 times. So here you could able to get a data from that, and you can incorporate in this sedimentation tank design. Okay, yeah. And mechanically clean, the second one, removal method. Okay, mechanically clean settling tanks normally have a bottom scraper that scraps the sludge continuously to a hopper bottom. Okay, please make a note down. If it is something like a rectangular sedimentation tank, you should have a slope. This is your influent effluent, and you should have a normally you have a scraper blades at the bottom. Okay, the particles may settle here and there, and this could be the lowest portion whereby I can pump it out. Okay, this could be. So what if I have a mechanism to scrap, okay, bottoms you use with bottom scraper blades, and if you operate from one direction to other direction, I could be able to scrap all the settled solids to a common point. Is it okay? Is it fine? Or if you imagine now, if it is something like a rectangular sedimentation like this, rectangular sedimentation tank like this, and I may have a scraper blade like this. Is it okay? Imagine it will rotate in a clockwise or anti-clockwise direction. Thereby, all the sludges can be brought into a lowest hopper bottom. Is it okay? This is what I mentioned. So mechanically cleaned settling tanks normally have a bottom scraper that scraps the sludge continuously to a hopper bottom where the sludge is pumped out. It is very similar to your tank design. If you have a possibility to visit the bigger tanks, okay, water tanks for your community or in a gated flats or something, you have a bigger tank. If you want to clean the tank, what they do, they scrap, and the bottom of your tank might be with the slope, and they'll scrap all the, say example, the sludges to a common point where you can withdraw. Something similar to that. Okay, so you can have a mechanically cleaned settling tanks with a hopper bottom. Okay, with the bottom scraper that scraps all these sludges and continuously to a hopper bottom where you can easily pump out. Okay, yes. Okay. So being familiar with these classification or these zones, we'll move on to types of tank. Okay, number one, horizontal. Number two is vertical, radial. Anyway, vertical we are not going to discuss. Only two: horizontal flow tanks and radial flow tanks. Horizontal flow tanks and radial flow tanks. We'll discuss one by one. And the horizontal flow tanks, the main aims to achieve as nearly as possible the ideal condition of equal velocity at all points lying in the sedimentation tank on each vertical line in the settling zone. Okay, please make a note of. So it's very simple, and you can have a tank like this. Now you could understand better. Okay, this is your influent, and this is your you are maybe you should have slotted or the inlet to reduce the velocity. So this arrows you can monitor now. So water will be allowed to distribute equally in all zones of all in a settling zone. So particles, if it is anything on, it falls under here and there because of gravity, and you should have now a mechanism to clean, okay, or to bring down all the solids to a common point. Okay, so this could be the motor. What will happen? This will rotate clockwise. This you can able to see now. These are vertical scraper blades. Okay, so imagine now if it is in a clockwise direction with the pulley or something. So what will happen? It will move like this. So during the bottom or at the bottom, it will scrap all the solids and take down to a common point. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so please remember these are whatever it is you are seeing here. These are sludge scrappers on pulley system. Okay, this could be connected to a motor and this will rotate in a clockwise direction. If it is being clockwise, there could be a possibility to shift or to scrap all the solids to a common point where you can pump out. Okay, yes. So these are horizontal flow tanks. Horizontal flow tanks. This is something is important. The main aim is to achieve as nearly as possible the ideal condition of equal velocity in all the points. Equal velocity in all the points lying on the same or each vertical line in the settling zone. Each vertical zone. Okay, so this is the actual horizontal flow tanks in a treatment plant look like. It's a long, lengthy tank, and one side you could have a inlet, other side you would have a outlet, and whatever you are seeing here, it is these are top devices. It will scrap out all the solids to a common point. Okay, yeah. Now the second one is radial flow, only the flow direction. Okay, yeah, the flow enters the tank and emanates from multiple ports of a circular well in the center of the tank to flow radially outward in all direction. Okay, so please remember here, this could be possible in only in rectangular tanks. Okay, rectangular or circular tanks. Okay, circular tanks with the radial flow with the central feeds. Okay, now you could understand better. You can allow the water in the center. Okay, central, and water will be distributed something like this. Are you able to imagine? Now you could also see like different tints in the color pattern. Okay, blue color, slightly dark with brown with the blue color, and dark brown color, and here. So this could be your clear water, and this could be your bottom sludge. Okay, so these are the scrapping blades, and where you can scrap out all the solids to a common point. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is a circular tank where the inlet is at the center. Okay, so that is called central feed. Central feed. You can allow the water to flow like this, and solids, whatever is coming in, it settle down automatically. It will come to a top, and you have a scrapper blades and scrap out all the solids to a common point. Okay, radial flow with the central feed. Okay, another thing is about radial flow with the peripheral feed. Okay, peripheral feed. Okay, so the tank differs from the central feed tank. The water enters the tank from the periphery. Only that's the only difference. All others are same. Okay? The central feed tank, that water enters from the periphery. Okay, water enters from the periphery. So now you could able to see now. Last one we have seen like this, and now this is water enters into a tank with peripheral mode. Peripheral mode. So now we could see that in the influent is here. Influent is here. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is the circular tank with your peripheral feed. Peripheral feed. Okay, yeah. And there could be a possibility to connect sedimentation and flocculator and sedimentation together. That system is called as the Clary flocculator. Okay, so let me repeat again. We had flocculation chamber separately and sedimentation tank separately. There could be a possibilities of flocculation plus sedimentation together, okay, in the same tank. Okay, so most of the case they design like that. So that tanks are called clariflocculator. Clarification you are already familiar. That's a sedimentation again. Flocculator for the flocculation arrangements. Clariflocculator. Okay, coagulation and sedimentation process are effectively incorporated in a single tank. Okay, so what the thing is now. Anyway, for flocculator, you need a rapid mixing and also the slow mixing. Anyway, that you have to incorporate in the clarifier. That's all. Okay. So now you could see like the clariflocculator where you have a, now you could be able to see turbine shaft. You could be able to see the turbine shaft here. You could be able to see the flocculation bell here, and outer portion is your sedimentation activity. Okay. So this is your incoming feeding. Incoming feeding is come in, and at the same time you can also add what are the coagulants or the coagulants inside the system. It will have a rapid mixing followed by a slow mixing, and after flocculation it will come out like this. Particles gain gravity and settle down in the sludge zone. You have a scraper mechanism, scrap it to the bottommost lowest hopper bottom. Is it okay? So you can couple flocculation plus sedimentation together. That unit operation is called as clariflocculator. Okay, some places the footprint or your land availability may be very, very less. Somewhat very difficult to plan one flocculator separately and one sedimentation separately, or some special features. So you can have everything together in a single tank. Okay, so that is his clariflocculator. Okay, so all these units consist of 2 or 4 flocculating paddles placed equidistantly, and these paddles rotate on their vertical axis, and clarification unit outside the flocculation compartment is served inwardly, racking, rotating blades. The water mixed with chemical is fed into the flocculation compartment fitted with paddles rotating at slow speeds. That's what I told you in this diagram. So water, and you should have a rapid mixing tank, mix the coagulant, and it will come to a clariflocculator. Okay, clariflocculator. Then the flocculated water passes out from the bottom of the flocculation tank. That's what I told you. Bottom of the flocculation tank to the clarifying zone. These are all clarifying zones. Clarifying zones through a wider opening. And the area of the opening being large enough to maintain a very low velocity. Please make a note on. Water inlet is from the top, and you should have a small mixing paddles to mix or enhance the collisions to occur or flocculation to occur. And after flocculation, I'll take out the water through the bottom of your flocculation basin or bell. And here the clarifications may happen. Solids will settle, and you can take out the clear water or clarified water and the outer through VS, effluent VS or something. Okay, yes. So this is what that clariflocculator. This is the actual clariflocculator in a particular treatment plant. Clariflocculator will look like this. Are you able to see here now? This is your flocculation chamber, and this is your sedimentation chamber. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now this arrangement should have some paddle arrangements also, or mixing devices also, and you may not know the water which is leaving out or from flocculation chamber to the clarification zone through bottom. Is it okay? Clariflocculate. Yeah. So being familiar with the types, horizontal and circular, rectangular and circular tanks, and you are both the cases we have discussed only on horizontal flow. Okay, vertical flow we have not discussed, only the horizontal flow. Okay, yeah. And these are the operational aspects that you can have the operational parameters, or these factors affect the performance of the sedimentation tank. Okay, you can divide it into 2 categories. One is about hydraulic characteristics, another one is about your particle characteristics. Okay, these are the hydraulic characteristics which will affect your plant performance. Number 1, flow. Number 2, residence time. Number 3, size and shape, whether it is circular or rectangular, and inlet and also the outlet arrangements, and short circuiting or resuspension. Okay, these are the factors which will affect your treatment system. That I will already explain to you. And because if it is Q is varying, whether increase or decrease, it will affect the detention time. It's very simple because detention time T is equal to V by Q. That's a formula. Okay, because volume is already fixed, I cannot do anything on because it's already been designed and constructed. So if it is any changes in the Q value, so what will happen? It will alter your T. If it is Q is more, what will happen? And T will come down. Thereby, your efficiency may not happen in a better way. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
So once it has been constructed, and you may not have any control on your area and volume of your tank. You should play with that. Okay, and at the same time, you should not compromise on your detention time. Okay, thereby you should regulate your flow. Regulate your flow. Okay, yes. Okay, that's what most of the primary treatment systems are designed for. Peak flow conditions, not with average flow conditions. Okay, yes. Settling velocity, anyway, I'm not going to discuss it. We have already discussed about in the previous one. The rate at which the particle will settle under Quiescent condition depends on size and shape. We have discussed density of the particle and also viscosity of the particle. So these are settling velocity. Anyway, I'm not. This we are already familiar. Okay, size and shape normally plays a role. The density of the particle plays a role, as well as the density of water, and last one is viscosity. Viscosity and again temperature of water also directly connected. Okay, viscosity is more. Okay, viscous force is more. Obviously, it offers more resistance. Thereby, the settling will be lower. Okay, and with less viscous, offer lesser resistance. It will increase your settling rate. Okay, and again, viscosity and temperature are directly connected. Temperature is more and less viscous. Temperature is high. Sorry, temperature is high. You have a less viscous, and temperature is less. You have a more viscous fluid. Okay, so that you can relate directly to a settling velocity and further into settling of particles. Okay, and surface overflow rate I've already mentioned to you. V is equal to Q by A. The formula. It's a velocity, a flow velocity, which is equal to Q by A. That flow of water divided by the surface area. Surface area. Okay, and this also we have discussed. And the condition all the time which velocity is greater. Okay, and hydraulic retention time is very simple. Tau or T is equal to V by Q, where V is equal to volume of your reactor and Q is equal to your flow rate. So once it is been designed and constructed, and you should not alter all the time with V value. So V is fixed, and if it is any variations in the Q, it will obviously affect your detention time. Okay, if Q is more, it will reduce your detention time. Q is less, it will increases your detention time. Okay, so these configurations you just check out. The last part is about design criteria. So this you need not remember. Normally, any books or any design guidelines will give you for a design values to pick up and design. Okay, so in the case of line sedimentation tank, surface loading rate you can assume up to 6,000. The typical value you can have 15 to 30 meter cube per meter square day. Retention time you may go up to 3 to 4. And in the case of horizontal flow circular tanks, and you can pick up this in between, you can pick up any values and you can design for a treatment plant dimensions. Okay. With this, we'll close the concept of sedimentation tank. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is something that is very unique, and you can also see the basic concept in the sedimentation tanks. Okay. Another 5 more minutes, we'll see the problems or that. So a numerical solution. This also is solved. Is my screen visible, Rashad?
Yes.
Okay. So the first problem statement is estimate. Sorry, 1 second. Yeah. Estimate the terminal settling velocity of the particle with the water temperature of 15 degrees Celsius, and they are given specific gravity 2.4, and diameter they are given 0.05 and 1 mm. Okay, just see that. And with the 15 degrees Celsius, and we refer the standard water table, and you can note down what is the value of the dynamic viscosity. So 0.00113 Newton second per meter square. Okay, yeah. Now we'll go with, because it is been mentioned 2 different size of particle. Okay, I solved 2 different sizes in. Okay, anyway, So first dimension or diameter of the particle is 0.05. Let me take diameter as 0.05. And for a 15 degrees Celsius, refer the tabular column of water properties. We just note down what is rho and what is dynamic viscosity. Okay, and we know the formula for settling velocity Vs is equal to G by 18 into SS minus 1 into D square by nu. Okay, yeah. And nu, if it is not, you can refer a tabular column, you can take it directly. Otherwise, if it is mu and rho are given, mu by rho is equal to kinematic viscosity. Okay, yes. So please make a note on. Okay, I can substitute directly. G 9.8, SS is already been given 2.4 minus 1 into D square, 0.05 into 10 power minus 3, because I have to convert in terms of meter square divided by 18. This kinematic viscosity is equal to mu by rho. So thereby it becomes 10 power minus 3 for mu divided by 1000 is 10 power minus 6. Okay, so thereby this velocity becomes 0.00169 meter per second. Is it okay? Is it fine?
Yes.
Yeah. So now with this, you have to check the Reynolds number, because I have already mentioned to you Reynolds number. This equation is valid only for laminar flow conditions where Reynolds number should be less than 2. Okay. So now with this Vs value, now you can able to find out what is Reynolds number. Reynolds number is Vd by kinematic viscosity, but kinematic viscosity is not been given. So thereby Vd by mu by rho. The equation can be rewritten as rho Vd by mu. Is it okay? Is it fine?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Substitute all the values, then you check Reynolds number is 0.075 for the calculated Vs value. So thereby the Re less than 2, thereby you can say the settling velocity of the particle is 0.00169. Is it fine? This is case number 1. Okay, direct problems. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now the condition is diameter is 1 mm. Okay. What I do now, I will calculate. Listen properly. We are going to check only one iteration, but number of iterations we can do it by our own. Okay. So Vs, we can write down the formula, substitute the values. You may get 0.676 meter per second. Is it okay? And then with this calculated value, and you have to check what is the Reynolds number. You can use this formula. I have introduced, because of the bigger particle, I have introduced one shape factor. Please make a note on. Otherwise, you need not. You can mention or you need not mention. Doesn't matter. Okay, because it's bigger size. I have added one. Assume the factor. Assume the particles are non-spherical in nature. Thereby, I have used one irregularity factor pi as 0.85. Otherwise, you need not. Okay, for a UG level, you need not mention 0.85 also. You can directly calculate in the previous step. And if you do that, you may get a value as 508. Please make a difference. I may get a Reynolds number as 508. Is it okay? 508. So what is the condition here? Reynolds number is greater than 2. Thereby, your Stokes law does not apply. Then you have to go for a corrections. Is it fine?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what is the CD correction? If it is more than 2 to 1000, and we have seen this equation. CD is equal to 24 by Re plus 25 by root of Re plus 1.34. This also we have discussed. Substitute in this equation to find out what is the CD value. Is it okay? Yeah. So with this CD value and this equation also we have seen. Okay. I think if you remember correct, before the substitution of CD in terms of Re with Vd by nu, this equation we have solved. This equation we have seen. Okay, now you substitute this 0.52 here, 0.52 here, and find out what is the settling velocity. Is it fine?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and with this settling velocity, find out what is the Reynolds number. Is it okay? And with this Reynolds number, go for a CD correction and use that formula to find out what is settling velocity. And with this settling velocity, do one more iterations until you may get a concordant value or uniform value. Is it okay? So recheck again with this 0.155. I may get 116 as a Reynolds number. I may go for a CD correction. I may also go for a Vs value. Now you just look into the value. For the step number 9, I may get 0.1 0.149 meter per second, and which is equivalent to 0.15 meter per second. And let me look into the previous value. This also again 0.15155 or is equivalent to 0.15 meter per second. So I may get the previous value, and this value is okay. Thereby I can assume or estimate the value as 0.15 meter per second. Is it fine? Is it fine? Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so please, I'll repeat one more time. Okay, if the Reynolds number which is falls below 2, there's no problem. That's what case number 1, step number 1 and step number 2 says about. It's very clear, direct problems. Use the Stokes equation formula, find out Vs, check the Reynolds number. If it is less than 2, no problem at all. You can write directly as velocity what you have found out, settling velocity. Okay, some of the bigger particles, use the formula and find out the Reynolds number. In this case, Reynolds number is not less than 2, it is greater than 2. Then obviously you have to use CD correction. Use this formula, find out CD value, and there is a relation between Vs and also the CD value. Use this second formula to find out Vs value, and with this Vs value, check one more time is Reynolds number. Reynolds number is again greater than 2, and go for a CD correction and check out with the Vs value. With the Vs value, again you just go for a Reynolds number correction and Reynolds number and check out what is your CD value, and with the CD value you just calculate Vs value, and this last Vs value and previous Vs value you check out, and if it is similar you can stop the iterations. You can say like your settling velocity or estimated velocity of the particle is 0.15. Is it okay? And here it is 0.155, here it is 149. Okay, for a theoretical point of view, I stopped here. If I repeat one more time, if I do one more time iteration, I may get exactly 0.149 also. Is it okay?
Okay.
Yeah, so this is one type of problem. Please listen or please understand logically to calculate the settling velocity of the particle. Okay. Now other parameters, anyway, these are direct substitutions, so you need not worry about much. Like water treatment plant with the 4 clarifiers, and water, this is 0.175 meter cube per second, and each clarifier is one particular depth, 4.88 meter wide, width 24.4 meter long, and 4.5 meter deep. So determine detention time, overflow rate, horizontal velocity, and wear loading. Okay, these 4 parameters you have to calculate. Okay, so it has been mentioned 4 clarifiers, and you have to divide by 4, and you have to find out per clarifier how much is the flow rate. And dimensions are given. You can find out what is the volume. Once volume and Q are known, you can calculate detention time. Detention time T is equal to V by Q. So you may get in terms of 3.45 hours. Okay, so please make it very wise way of application of units. Okay, please write along with the units while solving the problems. You may get a good answer, a correct answer. Otherwise, your calculations may be right. You may end up with wrong units. Instead of 3.45 hours, if you say 3.45 days, and there is no meaning. Okay, yeah. And now the overflow rate, it is already the formula that is again a velocity U is equal to Q by A, because I am calculating the overflow rate. So A can be L into W, length into width. Okay, so substitute length and width, you may get a value 31.745 meter cube per meter square day. And velocity you can calculate. What is velocity? Horizontal velocity is equal to Q. This is also again Q by A, but I am calculating the velocity which is equal to Q by W into D. Okay, width into depth. That's the area. Okay, so you can calculate the settling velocity in terms of centimeter per minute. What is the way of centimeter per minute? Okay. Yes, and the last one is VR loading rate. Okay, that is also again a velocity, Q by A. And it is also mentioned very clearly in the problem statement that VR loading rate as summing VR, so that is VR length, which is equal to 2.5 times of basin depth. Okay, so that I can do that calculation, 2.5 times of your width. Substitute the values, I may get VR loading rate as 310 meter cube per meter square day. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, these are direct substitutions, very simple. Okay, you can you can go through the notes and keep it ready for typical substitutions. That's all. Nothing very complex or serious. Okay. And then the third one is you have to now determine the dimensions. Now you have to treat this much amount of water, 15,000 meter cube per day of water, and the overflow rate is mentioned as 20 meter per day. Okay, 20 meter cube per meter square day. That is mentioned in the problem. The depth is being given 3.5 meters. Then you have to find out what is the dimensions of the tank. Okay, it's very simple. And this is overflow rate Q0, which is equal to the formula Q by A. That is very simple formula. Okay, so this value is directly given 20. 20 is equal to Q by A. So just so A is the unknown factor. You just find out what is the area of the tank. Is it okay? This is given, and this is also known, and this is the unknown value. You just find out what is the area, and you can assume the length to width ratio for the design as length is equal to 3 times the width. That's a assumption you have to assume. Length is equal to 3 times the width. Okay, so L into W is equal to area 375 meters square. Now L can be replaced at 3 times the W. So W you can calculate, and once W is known, you can calculate what is the length of the tank, which is equal to 3 times of your width. So length, breadth, and depth, everything is known. Then now you just go for what is your retention time. Retention time tau is equal to V by Q. Okay, and substitute in terms of the correct units to make it retention time as 4.16 hours. Then you can check what is their horizontal velocity. VH is equal to Q by area of the tank. Okay, area of the, because I'm checking the horizontal velocity, which is equal to Q by width into depth, 11 into 3.5. So thereby it becomes now 8.1 meter per hour. Okay, you can plan now the wear loading. Okay, how much is the water, or what is the wear loading? Okay, somewhere here, and now you can assume that now wear I can place it in my widthwise direction. That's what is being mentioned. So overflow rate in the case of wear, which is equal to 7,500. This is your total flow divided by width of the tank, 11 meter. So thereby it becomes 28.4 meter cube per meter hour. Okay. So thereby this could be your dimensions. This could be your dimension. 34 meter as long and 3.5 meter as width. Depth. 11 meter as width. Whatever I have designed in this problem, it is only on settling zone. Please make a note on. Very important. Whatever I have designed is only for a settling zone. Then I have to add up on both the sides is 3.5 meter for inlet zone as well as outlet zone. Is it okay? Inlet zone and outlet zone. And I should have a hopper bottom to collect the sludges, and which has a slope of 1 by 100. 1 is to 100 for a slope. Okay. And I may also add along with 3.5 meter. That is my water depth. And you can add 0.5 meter for freeboard and 0.5 meter for your sludge accumulation at the bottom. Thereby, the total depth becomes 4.5 meter. Total depth becomes 4.5 meter. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now, how to go ahead with the design of circular sedimentation tank? Whatever your design is L by W we assumed as 3 here. L by W we assumed as 3. But if the same problem, if I go with circular sedimentation tank, is very simple. What I have to do? I have to repeat the same process. What I have to find out what is the area, and area can be equated to pi d square by 4. That's all. Okay. The same problem I solved. Into a circular sedimentation tank. Okay. Because you are here instead of 4 tanks, you can assume that is 2 tanks. That's the only difference. Okay, or otherwise is 15. The problem is this problem statement is 15,000 meter cube per day. You have 2 different tanks. So per tank is 7,500, and again overflow rate is again given as 20 meter cube per meter square day, or 20 meter per day. Then you can check out what is the area, and the area can be equated to pi d square by 4, which is equal to 375 meters square. Thereby the diameter of the tank becomes 22 meters. Okay, yeah. Diameter is 22. Okay, and whatever I have designed for 22 is only for settling zone. Please listen carefully. This is 11 meter and this is 11 meter. Then I had to add inlet zone of 4 meter and effluent zone of 4 meters on both the sides. Then if you add everything together, 11 plus 11 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4. This 4 and 4 is for outlet, This is for your inlet zone. Thereby, the total diameter becomes now 34 meter. That's what has been marked here. So whatever you calculate or design based on your Q data, that is only for your settling zone. Inlet as well as outlet lengths are added apart from your settling zone dimensions. Okay. Yeah. So the total depth, side water depth, you can have a 3.5 meter, and you can add 0.5 meter at the top and 0.5 meter at the bottom for freeboard at the top and bottom as sludge storage. Okay. So it is this. And with that, you can design for a circular sedimentation tank. Is it fine? Yeah. Is it okay? So these are not very challenging, but at least you have a glance how to calculate at the UG point of view. Not design is not a matter, but the only thing is about how to approach the problem to get a numerical solution is the issue. Is it okay? Yeah. So with this, we'll come to an end of sedimentation tank. Is it fine?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there any clarifications here? Because these are not very challenging. It's not very challenging problems or concepts. Very simple. Have a glance. Have some ideas in your mind, and based on your elaborations, you can, or understanding level, you can attempt the questions for assessment point of view or end assessment point of view. That is enough for UG level. Is it okay?
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much.